I thank you for the work that you're doing in each of our lives. That, Lord, you knit us together in our mother's womb, and you have begun a good work in us, and you are the one that is completing it. We ask that this time in your word would be a time where we are open books for you. That, Lord, if you want to erase something out of our lives, please erase them. If there's something you want written in, if there's a person, a character in our story you want to bring in, we pray that we wouldn't have foolish or self-protective filters that don't allow certain people to come into our lives that you've designed to come into our lives for us to either impact or for them to pour into us. Lord, we want to be humble. We don't want to be wise in our own eyes. We want to be people who say, Lord, I really don't know what I need. We might be in tune with what we want, but it may not be what we need. Lord, we are spiritual toddlers at times. Lord, where we just want chicken nuggets all the time. And Lord, you're just telling us, no, you can't. You really need to eat this chopped salad or broccoli or spinach or things that will really bring in the balance and good spiritual maturity and growth in our lives. Lord, forgive us for being so concerned with comfort and ease that we're not focused on transformation and righteousness. And we've got kind of our values confused at times, Lord, because of the culture we're living in, or maybe the way we were raised, or we don't know what the reasons are, but we definitely need a rewiring, and we need you to declare priorities in our lives. And we want to be here having you do that for us, because we really, our heart is deceptively wicked. We can't really know it. And we think we're doing something out of great, pure heart, and all of a sudden we realize we have some hidden motive. We didn't even recognize that just is way deep in there from something in childhood, or some kind of defense mechanism we built for coping that keeps us from being intimate or close to people. Lord, I just thank you that you see us. We're naked. We're open before you. Not just how we are now, but our whole stories are before you since we're born. Even on last breath, the days we haven't lived yet, you already see. So we trust that the teaching you'll give us today is relevant and important and equipping for us. But we also lift up our families, our kids, grandkids, parents, roommates, grandmothers, grandfathers, our husbands, Lord. We pray, Lord, that you would move upon them now. We pray that your spirit would touch each one, calling the unsaved to a place of being forgiven. The backslider, back where you're their first love. To those who are walking with you, that they'd be encouraged, strengthened, and get incredible glimpses of your goodness today. And Lord, we ask you to baptize us afresh with the fire from heaven that would consume every part of our being, so that people would know that you are truly the living God. In Jesus' name, amen. First Chronicles. Remember, First Chronicles is written to God's people when they came back from captivity and they're rebuilding. Ezra, they think is the one who wrote it, is writing the history or declaring to them things that happened before they lost their land. So these are all supposed to remind them of some principles they need to have as they're rebuilding their nation. Last week, setting up those fortifications and subduing things. Hey, you guys are coming back. Remember, you have enemies out there, and you may have a peaceful time right now, but you have potential threats. So don't forget what David did. You guys do it too. And we talked about that we know that they weren't necessarily starting over. They were continuing a story that just had a little commercial break. just a little, the dish got cut off from the satellite for a little bit, but everything's up and running again. So remember, don't let the enemy beat you up over the years, weeks, months that you might have spent wandering in the wilderness after you've known Christ. You're back, and it doesn't matter. He makes all things new, and he's ready to rebuild. But don't let the enemy keep you looking back. You'll freeze like a pillar of salt. Move forward, move forward. Old things are gone. Behold, all things are new. Let's just move forward. Okay? First Chronicles 19:1. It happened after this that Nahash, the king of the people of Ammon, died, and his son reigned in his place. So we've got David ruling and reigning in the area, setting up different fortresses, and people are paying tribute, and the country is kind of moving forward without anybody attacking them. And this is a non-Jewish place, but they aren't hostile. They're like allies of Israel, not in agreement under their God, but they're not hostile against Israel. And it's the people of Ammon. So this king Nahash dies, and his son goes in his place. He's in another land. And verse 2, David said, David's always saying, I will do this. David's a thinker, isn't he? He says, I will show kindness to Hanan, the son of Nahash. Okay, so we've got 2 characters in the story right now. 3, actually. We've got King David, we all know him. Hanan is the son who's taking the position of the king of the Ammonites. And we have his father, Nahash. Well, apparently Nahash and David had a good relationship, and he died. And the son took over and was going to rule us. And he goes, I'm going to show kindness to Hanan, the son of Nahash, because his father showed kindness to me. He had a good relationship. And he goes, I feel so bad that this guy died and his son's taking over. And I bet you David was like, I remember taking the throne. It's pretty intimidating. I better encourage this guy because he's the new guy on the throne, and I want to let him know I'm here for him. I'm not going to come and attack him. And he's grieving over his dad dying and then trying to fill his dad's shoes. David shows a compassionate, empathetic heart here, and a proactive heart that doesn't just think about it, but decides to do something about it. Do you ever have people come to your heart and mind? Go, oh yeah, they're going through that. Do you know that when they come to your mind, you're not just supposed to know? You're supposed to, first of all, like Paul said, that I give thanks for you whenever you come to mind. Do you know when you think of someone, say thank you for them. Tell the Lord, thank you for putting them in mind. This is a big world, isn't it? And the people that are in our little worlds, God has designed to be there. And we have to thank the Lord that they're the characters in the story he's writing in our lives. Like all of you, I'm supposed to know you. I know that. God led you here. I'm supposed to know you. You're part of my story. And I'm going to embrace and thank God for the people that are in my story. And we're not just supposed to think about it, but even ask God, Lord, why did you bring them to mind? Is there something I'm supposed to do? Should I send them a text? Should I send them a prayer? Should I call them? Hey, maybe I'm supposed to connect with them. I haven't seen them in a while. If we have the mind of Christ, then sometimes when people come to mind, Christ has put them on our mind. And we're not to be negligent and just think about it. If you just think about people, you might start analyzing people. You start analyzing people, you start being critical of people. And pretty soon you hate everybody and you don't even know why, because you created your own world by thinking about people instead of thanking the Lord for them. I did hear that really hard. I know I heard that phone earlier. When I heard somebody's phone, I know who it was. I was trying to find it. I was walking through going, where is that sound? It's okay. I feel like an Easter egg hunt. I found the egg. Okay, so he says, I will show kindness to Hanan, the son of Nahash, because his father showed kindness to me. So David, this is what he did, came to his mind. It says, so David sent messengers to comfort him concerning his father. That is so precious, huh? Because when people die or heavy things happen, those cards, those notes, those hugs, they mean a lot. Because somebody's saying, hey, I know you're grieving. And, our culture is horrible with death. We don't even know what to do with death in the American culture because we're such a mixture and melting pot of cultures that there's no expected response, and we all are a little lost about it, aren't we? Other cultures, everybody knows what to do. It's predicted. They know how to show comfort. It's very easy. But here in America, and especially in Los Angeles, because we've got such different cultures, it's really hard to know. But I always encourage people, just pause and ask the Lord, how can I show comfort? And see how he leads you. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I couldn't believe how many cards people sent me. And I have them all in a bag in my husband's office. And I saved them, and I said, no, I'm going to respond to each one of these people and thank them someday. I have them there because I said, each of these people don't know how that spoke to me. Wow, I've got all these people praying for me. I've got, wow, I'm not alone in my affliction. And that when somebody dies, if somebody comes and says, wow, I heard, that your sister died, or I'm so sorry you're going through this, or you send them a private message, or you say, I'm praying for you on Facebook. We want to send something to comfort people. I remember John's chiropractor, when I was diagnosed with cancer, sent me one of those edible arrangements. Those are expensive. Chiropractor. So he said, my husband knows it, and he said this, and I remember my daughter Heather goes, okay, who is going to send an edible arrangement when someone's diagnosed with cancer? And my daughter goes, who does that? Who knows that? I go, he's a Christian. I go, well, he prayed. And I think it's delicious. dishes. I really like this edible arrangement. And then people were sending me gift cards to the movies and stuff. I was like, what the heck? When you're not, with cancer, I'm like, well, this is working out pretty good here. But, my daughter said that too. She goes, I would never think of sending a gift card. I go, I wouldn't either, Heather. I've learned something from other people, just different things. People drop by flowers. Somebody would come by and just pray for me. Somebody else would call. Somebody would send a message through someone. And, and you guys know those times that somebody's come through and just acknowledge that. And David shows just the heart of God here. That I'm going to show kindness. I'm going to do something because they're experiencing a loss and they're experiencing a transition. He's walking into the throne, being king. Be sensitive. Someone's moving. Someone's going through something. A kid's moving out of the house. Transition can be hard for us ladies, because we got our rhythm, and nobody messes with my rhythm. You know what I'm saying? I just have a rhythm. And then, your son goes and gets married and moves out. So my son's getting married in June. He's actually moving out May 1st to an apartment. And I told him the other day, I go, okay, can you just give me a 2 weeks notice so I can cry? I go, but it's not like I'm mad. It's just a rite of passage. You've lived with me for 25 years. I just have to cry before the Lord and thank Him that you're just getting married and you're not going to jail. These are good things. I said, but still, I'm going to miss you. But my rhythm's going to change. We all go through. As women, we're nurturers, we're relationship oriented. That person's no longer there. They moved, they died. We have to go through those things. But we should try to be sensitive to people's transitions and send comfort when they're going through that. Just care about them. It says, he goes, so David sent messengers to comfort him concerning his father. How precious. And David's servants, they were so excited, I'll do it, I'll bring them something. We don't know what it was. It was money, food, something to bless him in the midst of a hard time. They came to Hanun in the land of the people of Ammon to comfort him. So this is pretty exciting. They just know. He said, oh, thank you, that's so sweet, we're all getting along. This is such a great, King David's so awesome, and tell him thank you, and it's really comforted me, and the servants are going to come back. Oh, he was so blessed. You wouldn't believe it. They know. They know. And so one way to protect his people, David, from potential threats was to remove threats, to keep allies where they need to be. Impending threats, he conquered them last chapter. Potential threats, he removes them by being friendly. He cultivated an ally position, and he really cared. This is a great example of it. Verse 3. So the princes, so those messengers, I don't know if they were on a horse or, I can't do it that way. Okay, they ride over there, and they're excited because they're bringing gifts. Who doesn't like to bring gifts? I remember a couple of years in a row I worked for a florist on Valentine's Day to make some extra money. And I went, man, this is a satisfying job. Everybody was happy to see me. I didn't send the flowers here. Oh, thank you, you're welcome. You just need a little encouragement on Valentine's Day, but you don't have a Valentine, and the devil's telling you, oh, you don't have a Valentine. You're a florist that day. You'll feel so loved. You smell flowers all day. Everybody's happy. And, and so, they're coming, and everything's going to be so happy. They come there, they're entering the castle, they're letting them in. Hark, who goes there? Servants of King David, bringing comfort on behalf of him for the loss of his father. And then, okay, enter in so that you can stay the night here. They didn't just drop it off like UPS. They had to travel, so they probably had guest quarters there for them to stay in, dropped off. It's like, this guy is really excited. Hanun's like, wow, this is really neat. He receives it from them. They probably go back to the room. Go, oh, it's so nice. We have peace with these people. It's so good. Well, the princes of the people of Ammon, his friends, probably hanging around since his dad, probably thinking, new king, how can I get in here? The princes of the people of Ammon said to Hanun, do you think that David really honors your father because he has sent comforters to you? Did his servants not come to you to search and to overthrow and to spy out the land? If things just going great, and somebody goes, and they say something to you, oh man, I was having such a good time. So they brought that angle or that suspicion into my heart. Let's not be the princes of Ammon, shall we? Unless the Holy Spirit tells us that somebody's off, let's not just bring up conjecture for the sake of disturbing someone's peace. Don't love drama, mama. Don't be one of those women. Some of you guys grew up in families like that. We got to keep the drama going. We have nothing to live for except for drama. You know, it's just quench it, quench it, quench it. Don't say, really? Well, maybe they're really doing this. Don't do that, you guys. You're going to be the princes of Ammon. And we are children of God. We are not supposed to. We should actually err on the side of believing all things and hoping all things. We should say, even when somebody comes like a jerk, we should say, well, maybe they had a bad day. But when somebody comes good, we don't go, maybe they did it because of this. You know, don't do that. Don't do that as a child of God. Don't be a prince of Ammon. Don't whisper. Remember when Satan at the very beginning, hath God said? Is it because in that day, this and that's going to happen to you? That same spirit is in what was that? Cindy.
What, she went in the kitchen.
Oh, she went in the kitchen. Okay, I hope she's okay. Kind of crazy, huh? All this crashing glass. I have images in my mind. Okay, there's Cindy. We have cups here too, Cindy. If you ever need a buy. Oh, it's from Mike. Okay, well, anything from Mike. He handles the finances of the church. So you just give that to him. It's one thing. It's a job I don't want. So they kind of challenge and ask. You know, are they here for that? You know, have you ever just had a really good night and then all of a sudden the enemy comes in your mind and says, you know, your husband says something like, ooh, you know, you're losing weight, you're looking good, and you're like, yeah, and then later he goes, so he must have thought you were fat for the last month. You know, and you're like, shoot. And then all of a sudden you're yelling at him all night. He's like, I just gave her a compliment, you know. He'll come in, the enemy comes in with these challenges. He tries to rip us off of something that's very good. Well, why is she inviting you to that? Why was she nice to you? What that is the accuser of our brethren. And just go, I don't want to hear from you. If there is something malicious here, may God reveal it. But I'm not going to assume, and I'm not going to search it out. I'm not going to live in constant suspicion of people. If the Holy Spirit gives me a check in my spirit, if I sense the Lord saying, that they really aren't from the, you know, from the Gibeonites, that whole thing, if you remember that story in the Old Testament, if that's in your mind, yes, of course. But if it's this weird, tantalizing, is this for this? Is this for that? It's not from the Lord. You know that's not the Holy Spirit. You can hear it. It's like a heavy breathing. You can hear it in your spirit. It's not from the Lord. You guys know the voice of your shepherd. And at this point, you've got to wise up to listen not to what is said, but the tone in which it's spoken. Because the enemy can even use the scriptures, like he did with Jesus. And so listen to the spirit behind what you're hearing, not just the words that are being said. Because this is actually wise counsel, insofar as, you know, they're Israel, they're the Ammonites. There could be reasons that other lands send in with a gift, but they're really trying to get, that's a legitimate concern. But it shouldn't be suspicion unwarranted by anything that the Spirit gives. David's good work at this point is misconstrued due to the challenges of those around Hanan. This can happen to us in two ways. Like David, we could do something genuinely good for someone and it's mistaken as evil or with another intent in which it's done. So when this happens to you, don't go, oh, say, oh, I'm like King David. You know, like somebody's misreading what I've done. This is normal. This happens. It's okay. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have done it. You know, sometimes we go, oh, this turned into a horrible thing, so it must not have been God's will. Oh, really? When did you write the Bible? That's not really the way it works. David, you know, showed kindness and showed love. Now, I don't know. We don't see David praying again. Lord, should I send them comfort? Maybe the Lord would have said, don't send them comfort. That's just reading into the text. I can't tell you that. But you don't know. When you pray about something and God leads you to do it, it doesn't matter how it turns out. People have free will, and I firmly believe in that. So they can do whatever they want with your good works, and it still means that you did a good work. Don't let how something turns out tell you what you did wasn't God's will. That's like saying, oh, Jesus, he was wrong to go to the cross. Look what happened. Blood, nails. Jeremiah ended up in the pit. He should have never preached that mess. Isaiah's son in half, he must not have been in God's will. Paul, he went to jail in Rome. He was out of God's will. He shouldn't have. That's not true, huh? Look at Hebrews 11. That they had like horrible things, but they all were in the will of God. So don't let comfort, ease, or conflict tell you that you didn't do what God told you to do. Secondly, like Hannah, someone could do something for us, and we could hear the whispers of the enemy, or through people, tainting what could have been sweet to a suspicious, ugly situation, just contaminating something that could have been so sweet. Verse 4, therefore, so Hannah listens to them. I think he was insecure in his position. I think he was like, well, these guys have been the princes for a while. They know more than I do. But you know what? Don't just listen to people because they're older. We don't always know what we're talking about. You know, just you listen to counsel of people, but you don't just take counsel of people. You line it up before the Lord. And he should have been more firm in his position. Verse 4, therefore Hannah took David's servants. He shaved them, okay? Shaved their head, shaved their beard. I'm not sure about the rest of their body. And he cut off their garments in the middle, at their buttocks, and set them away. Meaning, he exposed them naked in the front and the back, and cut off their hair and their beards, and made them walk through town like that. It was, for Jewish people, to have your head shaved or your beard shaved was on the same level as having your privates exposed. So it was like from the top of their head to the bottom of their feet, he brought them shame. He just brought them shame. It was a sign of intimidation. It was responding in a very, very unkind way to an act of kindness. These servants, they were just trying to be a vessel to bless someone, and they ended up being absolutely shamed. They were not hurt. They were not beaten. They were not thrown into jail. They were shamed. Verse 5, then some went and told David about the men, and he sent to meet them because the men were greatly ashamed. So David heard about this, and he went to comfort his messengers. He's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they went through this. And what should have been such a sweet situation turned so ugly. And aren't you glad this is in here? So that when you try something and it turns kind of ugly, you don't have to be so confused or thinking this isn't normal or this doesn't happen. We can go, oh, this happens sometimes. And we have to get counsel on how to handle it this way. And he says the men were greatly ashamed. They didn't come back to Jerusalem. They were embarrassed. They didn't want to see anybody. I'm sure that they already put on clothes, but now they still are bald and no beard. And the king said, wait at Jericho until your beards have grown, and then return. David is considerate of their wounds and their shame. He gives them a safe place to heal and recover from such a wounding situation. God allows them a chance to have their beard grow back. When we've been wounded by people emotionally, our beard has to grow back. Like they shave their beard off, we're all, but it grows back. That's exciting. Like you may be wounded, they might have thought, I am never going to be sent by David to anyone again. You're going, not me, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to reach out to this new person. I don't want to get involved in another friend. Or if you're single, I don't want to be in another relationship. I got wounded in the last one. You know what? You might need to just go to Jericho and let that beard grow back. Let God bring back the things that define you because somebody stripped it and shaved it off of you and you don't know who you are anymore. I bet you they didn't look, when they looked in a mirror or in a brass plate, shaved like this, no beard, they didn't even recognize themselves after going through such shame. And sometimes when we've been violated, when we had something come against us, we lose our identity. We don't even recognize ourselves. But the beard grows back. So you guys can always remember that. The beard grows back. God will help you become that person that can love again. That person that can laugh again. That person that can walk in public again and not hang their head in shame. And notice they were ashamed not because of their own sin, but somebody sinned against them. And sometimes we're embarrassed, we're ashamed. If you've been raped, if you've been, had something happen to you where you feel dirty or embarrassed, it's okay to feel that way. But go to Jericho and wait there. Let the king meet you in your shame. And then wait for that beard to grow back. The king says, just wait in Jericho until your beards are grown. don't get involved in another relationship right now. Let your beards regrow. Like, I'm going to help you come back to who you were, and you're going to make it through this. No blood was shed, but the attack was still real. He gives him a safe place to heal and recover from such a shameful situation. Hanan did something very unwise in this, and he started his position in foolishness. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 29 says, "Do not devise evil against your neighbor, for he dwells by you for safety's sake." Proverbs 3:30 continues, "Do not strive with a man without cause, if he's done you no harm." David wasn't doing him any harm, and he just was stirring up trouble. He was suspicious. Some of you guys, some of me, we can get in a conversation, and because of the past, we project onto somebody else. Well, my dad used to say that this is what he meant. I know a lot of people that are victims of sexual sin committed against them, or they've chosen to commit. And they get married. And then their husband makes an attempt or touches them in a certain area when they're walking by. And the girl just puts up her fist, ready to punch the guy out. It's your husband. He's allowed to touch. that's part of the blessing. But there's a training inside of you that you were used to pushing people away because you were molested or you were raped or you experienced sexual expression in a sinful state and never did feel, it felt good in the flesh, but something felt dirty about it at the same time. And sometimes, you start striving against your husband, you hold yourself back from him, you're not being sexually expressive with him, you have all these things, but he doesn't cause you harm. You're striving against your husband. You're causing problems that he didn't do what the other people did. And David wasn't doing something mean. But maybe, the princess had seen some other enemy come in and do that. So, oh, we're here to comfort you. Maybe they attacked Ammon before. I don't know. But we have to not strive with people when they haven't caused us harm. It's not fair. It's not fair to them. And we have to know this verse in Proverbs 3. David was absolutely in shock that what he thought was going to be a blessing turned out to be so ugly. But what's really neat is he didn't respond to Hanan first. He first cared for the people that were sent. He didn't react. He responded, and he cared for the people that were ashamed. Some of you guys, your kids, something could happen at school, and you're on the phone with the assistant principal, and your kid's over there feeling, and you're like, oh yeah, you think you're doing your kid good by attacking the person who attacked them. But maybe you need to just sit down with your child and say, so how do you feel? And let me pray with you. And was it really difficult to go through that? And I'm so sorry that happened to you. And let's wait in Jericho. Let me make you hot chocolate until your beard be grown. Don't say those words, they'll think you're just David's example of caring for the wounded before responding in justice. Justice, something needs to be done. And David's going to do something. But he wasn't hasty to react to this surprise response. He first looked at the people factor and the woundedness, and he cared for the people that were wounded before he didn't get all like that. He was tender to the people that were hurt. And we have to remember, even in a place of misjustice, in a place where somebody really does something wrong, before we fight back, let's see who's hurting. Let's care. When there's an accident and the emergency crew comes, they attend to the wounded before the police do the investigation of the crash. So we want to do that first. We want to care about even people that go to the hospital, that gunshots, gang shooting, they don't come in first investigating. They treat the wounds of even the gang members because they're trying to save a life, because people's wounds trump why the wounds happened. So care about woundedness. Care, even if your kid did something stupid and rebellious. You don't need to walk in there, with that glass plate between you and them in the prison and going, I told you shouldn't hang out with that person. First, care about the fact that they're in jail. I'm so sorry you're here. Even if it's their own fault. You know what I mean? Because I tend to do this because I'm a logical person and I want to prevent it from happening again. So, if my husband does something and, like he lost his favorite headphones this week, and he was so sad. because he just loves them. They're like noise canceling. I know he's ADD, so that's a blessing. And he studies with those on. He's put them in the case. He's been very responsible, and he was, and you know, and I'm like, well, what do you mean? Why didn't you? And he goes, well, they dropped out of the car, under the car, right out here. He heard them drop in the case, and he was going to get them, and then somebody needed them at the front door, and he went, okay, I'll go help this person, and I'll come back and get them. He forgot to come back and get them. They're very expensive, and he really liked them. And my first thing is like, well, why? And why didn't you? You know, you always put an alarm, honey, and then it can tell you that you need to do something. You know, because I'm all, and then I'm going, you know what? I'm so sorry you lost your headphones. And he goes, yeah, because I go to Starbucks. I sit at this table, and I wear these earphones. You know, as you get older, you get even more like your little world. And he goes, and now I don't have them, and somebody else has them, and you feel all like, who has them? You know? And so I said, well, let's just pray. Let's pray that whoever has them is so blessed by them, and they come to know Jesus through them. Let's just give it to the Lord. But I'm real logical. I always want to find out, well, why and how come, and how can we prevent this in the future? There's a time to think of that. But initially, let's care about people's wounds and their shavings and their shame, and come alongside them, because that's King David's heart, and that's the Lord's heart, huh? When we even mess up, or somebody sins against us, before he deals equity and justice, he cares for the woundedness. And this is a great example. Verse 6. Psalm 35:12. David says, he wrote this, they reward me evil for good, to the sorrow of my soul. So he was like really hurt that this happened, okay? Verse 6. When the people of Ammon saw that they had made themselves repulsive to David, Hanun and the people of Ammon sent 1,000 talents of silver, and not to David, to hire for themselves chariots and horsemen from Mesopotamia, from the Syrian Makkah, and from Zobah. They hired, verse 7, for themselves 32,000 chariots with the king of Maacah and his people, who came and encamped before Medeba. Also the people of Ammon gathered together from their cities, and they came to battle. Okay, so got back to them, David found out, and he is not really happy. Well, they didn't have a strong enough military to fight against Israel. They didn't feel it. They started hiring, paying all these other countries. Can you come fight for us? Can you come fight for us? Verse 8. Now, when David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the army of the mighty men. Verse 9. And then the people of Ammon came out, put themselves in battle array before the gate of the city, and the kings who had come were by themselves in the field. Now, do you see? A simple gift, I'm sorry your dad died, is a full-on war. Come on now. Come on now. Don't you have things in your life started out just so simple and like, what the heck? You know, how did this grow into this? I love this chapter. I remember the first time I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, you know, a white knuckler, like, what's going to happen next, you know? So David had to respond now with a military position. Why? Because they gathered military strength. When David didn't get his military together and, oh yeah, you're going to cut off my, you know, clothes of my messengers, he didn't. I think he was still praying and waiting and seeing what to do. But now it's turned into military. He had to do something. He stepped up with a strategy and wisdom. It wasn't haste. It wasn't a personal vendetta. The same king who comforts is also a king who handles conflict. You can't just be the woman. You also have to be the woman. You know, we got to be both. We got to comfort and we have courage. There's a time to just, you know, minister, and there's a time to take a stand. Verse 10. When Joab saw that the battle line was against him, before and behind. Now I'm going to explain. He went out there, and when he got out there, oh shoot, there's an army in front of me, and there's an army behind me. He was surrounded on both sides. He's like, before me, and it's behind me. He put them in battle array against the Syrians. He was in a vulnerable spot. So he chose some of Israel's best, and he put them in battle array against the Syrians. He assigned resources to a specific threat. Verse 11. The rest of the people he put under the command of Abishai, his brother. Now, this is very important for us to understand. We're seeing the people of God work together to fight the enemy, and how they're going to help each other, and they're going to divide and conquer. Okay? They set themselves in battle array, verse 11, against the people of Ammon. So, he put Abishai to face the people of Ammon, and Joab turned the other way, or kept his way, and was against the Syrians. So you got to picture the army of God is back to back with each other. Half of them are facing that army, and the other half are facing this army. They're like, Oreo cookie, and they're the white filling. And it's coming in, and they're both looking at it, and they're brothers, and they're shaking hands. They're saying, you cover this, I'll cover this. The Lord gave Joab the wisdom to delegate and only take on what he could take on. We're supposed to be courageous, but not cocky. We're not so, I'm gonna, no. Ask the Lord, what's my part? Remember we learned at the very beginning of this book about knowing our ranks? Yes. That has set me free. That has set me free. I'm releasing people all the time because I don't sense I'm the one that's supposed to solve their problems. I go, this is the person I'm supposed to be pouring into. I'll stay focused here. You'll send the right person. This troop will face the Ammonites. I'll face the Syrians. I'm not going to turn around and do a little Ammon, do a little Syria, do a little Ammon. No, I'm going to focus on what my battle is. And these people are going to focus on what their battle is. We got to let people focus and face the enemies that they're supposed to face. And not be busybodies. Stay in rank. Verse 12. This is what he tells his brother. He goes, hey, if the Syrians are too strong for me, then you got to help me. You're going to have to just go, about face, and help me. But then he goes, but if the people of Ammon are too strong for you, then I will help you. This is a great little friendship verse. I will. If you need extra prayer in your marriage, then I'm going to pray with you. If I'm going through this in my marriage, you pray with me. If your kids are at that age and you need me to fast and pray and help, I'll help you. If my kids are at that age, you help me. Because we're all fighting the same enemy. He's just in different locations. We're going to fight our own battles, he says, but let's stay in tune for the other person if they're getting overwhelmed. Be focused on what you're fighting, but be sensitive to what other people are fighting too. And remember to encourage them and help them. Verse 13, he says to his brother, be of good courage, and let us be strong for our people and for the cities of our God. And may the Lord do what is good in his sight. So he speaks courage to him. And he says, let us be strong. Let us be strong, ladies. Let us be strong. Acknowledging the help of the Lord and stepping out in this strategy. An interdependency on each other, but a dependency upon God. Verse 14. So, isn't this just like a cliffhanger? Isn't this a great movie, huh? So Joab and the people who are with him, get this, Joab's looking at the Syrians, they drew near for the battle against the Syrians. Okay, they just drew near. They didn't even fight yet. They turned around, oh, charge, or whatever. And it says, and they fled before him. The Syrians said, they just run. They just run. And Joab's like, wow, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And they run. Look at this. So he faces his enemies that he's responsible for. And in verse 15, when the people of Ammon saw, because they're in the back over there, they can see over here, when they saw the Syrians were fleeing, they also fled before Abishai, his brother. Is this a great battle or what? He's like, charge, and they all go, ah, and they run. And then these ones over here, they're facing Abishai, go, oh, the Syrians are running, and they turn and they run the other way. Both the enemies just run away from Joab and Abishai. I mean, that is so exciting, isn't it? I mean, they're going, they must have some tank or something we don't see. We see them fleeing. And it says, when the people of Ammon saw the Syrians were fleeing, they also fled before Abishai's brother and entered the city. So Joab went to Jerusalem. Well, that was, blows off his sword, puts it in. Well, that was an easy day's work, Joab intimidated his enemy and they fled. How we can help our brothers and sisters. When we conquer and face our enemies, it will give them strength to defeat their enemies. When they see you stand up to something, they go, if she can stand up to that, I can stand up to that. And I think in the demonic realm, they start to run. They go, oh, shoot, she's really going to fight me. And then let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Verse 16. Now, when the Syrians saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they sent messengers and brought the Syrians who were beyond the river, and Shop, whatever his name is, the commander of Hadadezer's army, went before them. So they went and they said, oh my gosh. They went and got more troops. They said, we ran from them, but I think we should attack them. We have to go get them anyway. We ran initially, but we're going to come back. That's a whole other study we're not going to cover. Verse 17. When it was told David, he gathered all Israel, crossed over the Jordan, he pursued, and came upon them. He said, oh yeah, you run, and you're going to come back and take me down? Well, I'm just going to cross the river and come after you. I'm not going to wait here and defend. I'm going to pursue you. If you're pursuing me, I'm pursuing you. You know, some of you guys, the enemy is messing with things in your life, and you're just whining. And you have to be militant. You've got to take the sword of the Spirit and speak that to the enemy. You've got to pray, not a token prayer at a red light, but gather with brothers and sisters until you see a breakthrough. You've got to cross the Jordan. You've got to go after. If he's going to position himself against you, you position yourself against him, and you go after him. And David did that. He said, so when David set up in battle array against the Syrians, they fought with him. The Syrians had fled, but he positioned his troops to hold the line, and he saw it through. When they saw his resolve, his commitment, and his tenacity, verse 18, this is what happened. Then the Syrians fled before Israel, and David killed 7,000 charioteers and 40,000 foot soldiers of the Syrians. And he killed Shophak, the commander of the army. So he had to. You see, David didn't want to fight. He wasn't trying to just slaughter people. But they came after him. He had to do that. He had to demonstrate and tell them, you know what, you shouldn't have joined with the people of Ammon. Because do you remember they got paid money to join the army? And he had to show them it's not worth it to come against God's people for any price. And in verse 19, when the servants of Hadadezer saw that they were defeated by Israel, they made peace with David and became his servants. So the Syrians were not willing to help the people of Ammon anymore. Lord, thank you for this incredible visual. And I pray, God, that if we have a friend or our husband or somebody, that we could be back to back like Joab and Abishai. That we can say, hey, if the enemy gets too tough for you, I'm going to help you. And if it gets too tough for me, you help me. And Lord, as we stand against the enemy, we believe that when we resist the devil, he will flee. And if he comes back a second time, we will fight. And so, God, I thank you for just a great picture of this so we understand where we're going in this particular battle. In Jesus' name, amen.